What is going on, guys? It is Akir, and today I decided to make pretty much an aim guide on Valorant. I've made an aim guide before. I made it on Siege, but Valorant and Siege are pretty much completely different games depending on, based on your aim. That being said, on Siege you kind of have to outmaneuver people, outsmart people. On Valorant, you also have to do that, but having good aim can carry you a lot farther than it can on Siege for obvious reasons, right? So the first thing I learned about aiming in Valorant is, okay, first of all, I'm not a CSGO person, so I never played CSGO. I don't like CSGO. I did play it for a bit with some friends, but it's never my thing. I don't like the whole stopping to shoot mechanics, right? Like, I think that's dumb. I think it's outdated and whatever, but I just happen to enjoy Valorant, so kind of just sticking to that. So the first thing I want to talk about aim is, of course, finding the sense for you. Now, I know people say that finding sense is a preference thing, and it is for the most part. You know, some people have really good sense, some people have really fast sense, and some people can use any sense and they'll be really good at it. But I've learned, and throughout the majority of playing video games on PC, that is, I've learned that people that have low sense tend to be a lot more accurate. And of course, your sense also depends on what game you're playing. If you're playing something like Quake, then having a slow sense might fuck you up, because of course you can't 180 and like you're supposed to in that game. In that game, you have to aim down and then rocket, and you have to aim 180 and kill the guy behind you and aim, like, lead your shots and all that. So it depends on what you're playing. But for Valorant, definitely I think having low sense is definitely the way to go. And even if you feel like you're a risk player and you can't get used to that, I say you try. Even if you don't know that you're gonna get used to it or not, it's worth to give it a try, because I was a wrist aimer when I first started playing PC, and now I'm not, pretty much. I just play nothing but ARM, and it took me a while to get used to it too. I didn't want to do it, but I think for the long haul, that might be probably the way to go. So getting started, how I find my aim, or how I found it on Valorant, and I've actually had this aim on Valorant since beta, and I haven't moved it, which is also a very important issue, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So the way I found my aim on this game is you have to be able to trace. And people always put a certain sense on, and they're just like, okay, I have to flick. Like, if I can't flick, I don't like the sense. But that's something you learn. People don't understand that flicking is something that you learn. Okay, you don't just immediately start like headshotting everyone, right? You have to like pretty much learn how to control that, and that comes with time, with muscle memory. What you want to do when you first get a sense is you want to be able to track people, and you want to be able to track them at different distances. So for example, right here, I have to track the motherfucker, right? See? And if I don't keep him on track, then you're going to lose gunfights, because a lot of the gunfights happen to be this close, right? So you want to be able to track and keep your marker, at least for the most part, on the head of the person that you're aiming at. You can do this on practice, you can do this whenever, right? And then you want to back up, and you want to be able to do it again, right? So you have to be able to do this at different distances. You just got to try your best to keep it on the dude's head. And this is a great way to keep your sense, to learn it. If you can do this at 3 different distances with your aim, then you should be good for the most part. Okay? So that's that. Second of all, don't be messing with your sense. Once you find a comfortable sense, just keep it. And trust me, I've had bad nights where the second that I start playing bad, I change my aim. And it happens. It happened all the time. On Siege, it took me about 2 to 3 years to like find out my sense, right? And I just happened to translate that sense into Valorant, and that's why I'm so used to it already. So you want to keep the sense that you have. You want to make sure that you don't mess with it, and your body will eventually learn and have muscle memory, and you'll be able to learn more advanced movements that are eventually gonna have to be learned to get better at this game. So first of all, keep your sense, and second of all, first of all, find your sense, and second of all, keep your sense. Don't change it. Moving on from that is head level. Games like Siege are a lot different than Valorant, because on Siege, you can get peeked from almost anywhere. With the whole rappel feature, people can be upside down on a window, they can be at the bottom of a window, they can be wide on a window, they can be prone, they can be crouched, but Valorant's not like that. Odds are, most of your gunfights are going to be right here. If you can keep your crosshair right here, at this fucking point, you will win 40% more gunfights if you don't do that already. That's a big factor in aiming. And people like to crouch shoot, right? But whenever people crouch shoot, they have to start crouching when they see you. So let's change this. Sage. Okay, so Sage is a good example for this. Say I have this wall up, right? That. Higher this a little bit. Okay. Say that Sage is so loud, man. Okay. Say that this is you, right? And say the people you fight against are crouch walking, crouch spamming, right? So they see you and they just go right? Super annoying. They just crouch every time they shoot. Okay, that's annoying, yeah. But they have to do that when they see you. So they're gonna go like this. They're gonna shoot, but after the first 3 or 4 shots, that's when they're gonna crouch. So as long as you aim here, you should be able to headshot them before they start crouching, and the crouching shouldn't matter. If you're not, like if they start shooting at you first, then that's when you're gonna have to aim down, and that's when you're gonna have to aim, you know, a little bit lower. But the thing about Valorant is that since you can slow walk and not make any noise, then you always aim at head level, because the odds that somebody's already crouching is very unlikely. Okay, nobody walks around crouched like this and slow walking. Okay, nobody does that. It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody would ever do this. On Siege, the only way to go slow is to crouch. So of course, people tend to aim at waist level on Siege because a lot of people crouch walk and it's annoying. On Valorant, there's no reason for that. No reason for you to be aiming crouch level, because nobody will ever do it. The only time anybody will ever crouch on Valorant is when they're hiding behind something and they don't want to see you, or they're new to the game and they just like to crouch everywhere. So it's a habit a lot of gamers have, okay? So always keep your crosshairs here. Also, if you're entering a site, you're going to have to learn the basic positions, because even though you should always keep your crosshair at head level, right? So you can just like peek and just body people like that. There are some places like Haven, for example, on A, where people are going to be heaven, right? They can be like on top. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you clear this head level, but then when you know you're about to come up on heaven, you're going to have to adjust that, make sure that you fix it. Okay, so you have to make sure what you're attacking. You have to know what angle you can get killed from, and you just pie it. Whenever you're entering a site or whenever you're trying to aim something, you just cut a chunk of the pie, right? So I want to clear this room. Cut this, right? No one here. No one here. Aim someone here, right? Oh, should I see someone? You cut them and that's it, right? So you clear it. You don't see anyone, you clear a little bit more. And this is why you can jiggle peek. Like, if you want to be able to peek something slow, you can just, right, until you see them, right? Slow peek, and you're cutting off the room portion by portion instead of just and then if you peek like this, okay, look at all the angles you have to cover. Someone can be over here, you have to aim all the way over here. If someone's right here, you're gonna have to like fix it over here. Someone can be left side, you're gonna have to, you know, aim left side. So whenever you peek anything, you have to make sure that you cut it. Also, like I said before, whenever you learn to flick, it's something that you're gonna have to get used to, and it's gonna come eventually while you keep the same aim. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't practice it. Every time you get into practice, what I do is I like to get in here, and practicing your recoil is very important, but make sure that the first thing you practice is your flicks. That's the first thing I do. It's something that has helped me so much before I practice anything else, because if your aim is on point, then your recoil is pretty much going to be on point. So I think that's a big tip that a lot of people might not try. I know a lot of people might get into Valorant and start practicing their recoil, right? Trying to make sure that like their gun's super like accurate. But I always practice my aim and my flicks. So I try to flick around. You can kind of tell whenever your aim's off. Like me, I've been with this sense for so long, so I can tell whenever like it's a little bit too. No matter what game I play, I can tell when it's not on point, right? Like it just seems off to me. So you practice your flicks. You make sure that you get that down, and eventually you'll become really like comfortable with your settings, and eventually you'll just be able to naturally just pretty much be on autopilot. Now once you get your flicks down, and once you think that your aim is warmed up properly, then you can practice your recoil. And if you have to, like me, I played enough Valorant where I can kind of like control the recoil for the most part, you know. So I don't really like practice that when I start practicing, but it is something that you have to do if you don't know the recoil patterns, that is. But just know, people always try to learn the ins and out of the entire recoil pattern, and it is a smart thing to do, But most of the time, if you don't kill somebody within those bullets, you're dead. You're gonna die. So this is what you should be learning first. The first like 10 bullets is exactly what you should be learning the most, not the ending of the spray. Because you should never finish your spray. I don't care what people say, especially if you're using a Vandal, you should never finish all 30 bullets in your mag. If I'm shooting at this dude and I'm missing up a storm, right? You just stop. You stop shooting. Stop shooting, you just, you stop, just relax. You let your recoil come back and then you can just kill him for free. A lot of times I see people shooting like this and they start panicking and then they start fucking running and it's like, ah. Like, don't do that shit. If you miss the first 10 shots, you just stop and then you fix it. That's it. I gotta do. And while you do this, you can also, like, you mess up, you can even move a little bit and just let the recoil come back, That's all you gotta do. And if you don't spray your entire clip, I guarantee you're gonna win a lot more gunfights. If you're a Phantom player, you just learn to pull it down, That's all I gotta do. You don't have to spray the whole thing. Even though with the Phantom it's a little bit easier. You could probably spray from a little bit farther, but if you're a Vandal player, you never spray the whole thing. You're gonna get bopped, okay? You're gonna get fucking bopped. Alright. So moving on to the next thing. You also want to see the position that you're at on your mouse on your desk pretty much. You want to make sure that you're comfortable. If you have a big mouse pad, then that's grade A what you need. If you don't have a big mouse pad, then that's something you might want to invest in. Even if you don't have fast sense, having all this space available for me, let me show you guys. I have all this space available to me. So even if I'm like in a situation where I can't reset my mouse, by resetting my mouse is that I'll aim like this right here and back and forth. But if I'm not in action, I'll fix it where I'm most comfortable. I have an optimal spot where I'm the most comfortable when I aim. And sometimes I get into positions where like I have to move all the way over here to aim, and you want to learn the whole fucking mouse pad because you're not always going to be able to reset your aim. So sometimes I'm gonna have to hit a shot at the end of my mouse pad, right? And you want that space. You want to be able to learn the entirety of your mouse pad, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if y'all are getting me, but I'm pretty sure most of you are. If I'm at the end of my mouse pad and I have to like flick onto somebody, like even though it's not in the area of the mouse pad where I normally practice, I have to use my muscle memory to be able to hit the shot anyway. So it shouldn't matter where I am on the mouse pad, I should still be able to hit most of the shots. Like, I'm on the far end of my mouse pad. It feels awkward, but I've practiced this sense for so long and my mouse feels comfortable enough and I have enough space on my mouse pad, I can still hit these shots, right? A little bit harder than when I'm in my optimal mouse position, but it is what it is, right? Speaking of all, it's the mouse you use. Now I know people say that using a good mouse is overrated and that you can be good with any mouse, and you can definitely be good with cheaper mouses, but if you can afford a better mouse, anything between the $40 and $60 range, then I suggest that you go for it, because mice make a big difference, and don't let anyone tell you that they don't make a difference. Like, they don't make a difference, because they do. You're not going to become a god when you buy a new mouse, but okay, so a mouse doesn't make you a better player, but it gives you the ability to become a better player. Okay, that's the first rule about mice, or about any equipment whatsoever. Having better equipment does not make you a better player, but it higher your limit, your skill ceiling. You can obviously be a lot better if you have better equipment. Now also, let's get into peeking shit. So peeking shit is very important. Now I know I told you all about how to cut the room and shit and make it a little bit easier to peek, but you want to make sure that you peek correctly. Now on Siege, the meta for peeking anything is like this, and I know I'm mentioning Siege a lot, but I know a lot of you watched me for Siege, so I know a lot of you might still be Siege players and that might be trying Valorant. But whenever you aim on Siege, it's like this, right? Keep your crosshair right on the corner and you try to keep aiming like that, and that does work on this game, but you also have to make it, you kind of have to take a more preemptive approach when you're playing Valorant. But what I mean by that is that this is good, but if he's aiming down sights, he's gonna kill you first because you're gonna have to readjust, right? What I do is that I like to think like, okay, if I'm this person, where am I gonna hide, right? So say I'm this dude, right? And I think in my mind, okay, I'll stand right here if I want to hold this spot, right? So instead of me peeking like this and kind of trying to aim where I think he's gonna be, I just already aim where I think he's gonna be. You just peek it. It's a lot easier like that. I had a big problem with this coming from Siege. I always kept my crosshair like that, and sometimes even when I blind peek things, like if I'm entering an area and I have no idea where they're gonna be, sometimes I'll still aim like that. Like I'll still keep it on the side. But if I have a feeling that he's gonna be somewhere, then I'll definitely preemptively peek it like that. And you can kind of jiggle peek. Now when you jiggle peek, they only see your shoulder, so you're not really at risk at getting headshotted and getting destroyed. So you can just peek like jiggle like that. It's kind of the best way to peek in Valorant in my opinion, and it gives you a lot of info. You'll either get the info by looking at them, by seeing them like that, or they'll shoot at you, but they won't kill you because your head is exposed for such a small amount of time that odds are you're not gonna die. I mean, sometimes they're gonna pre-fire you and you're gonna die, and it's fine, it happens. But 9 times out of 10, you are not gonna die by jiggle peeking. They either will A, you will see them and you'll kill them, or B, they'll shoot at you and you can just dip, or you can re-engage, or you can wide swing, or whatever you want to do. And that's kind of how I handle my peeking. Okay, second of all, now this is how I normally peek for the most part. If I'm entering the site, I kind of know exactly where people might be, the options, and sometimes there's going to be 2 options. You're going to have to pick one. That'll come with game sense. Eventually you'll learn what's probably the best thing to aim at whenever you're entering something. But I like to just peek, see him peek. I think, okay, he might be right here, I'll peek. He's not there, okay, he might be right here, I'll peek like that. But I always kind of get my crosshair ready on the position where they might be. I don't like keeping my crosshair on the corner of a wall. I think it's kind of annoying, and the readjusting is kind of messed up, and you might lose your gunfight since they might have a chance to shoot first. Okay, so that's kind of the basics of my aiming guide. You gotta find your sense, you gotta learn how to peek, you gotta crosshair. Yes, you want to make sure that you have a crosshair that is going to contrast with whatever enemy that you're fighting with. So a lot of people don't know, but if you go to, I think it's graphics, I know it's around here somewhere. The general, okay, in general you can actually change the color of the enemy, and you can make it a lot easier to see them. I use yellow because yellow are, they're just pretty bright compared to everything else. You can use red, but I feel like red's not as outlined. You see that? Like you can still see them, but it's not as bright. If you use purple, purple is something that a lot of people use, even though I think it's a little bit too dim for my liking. And even though I hate yellow, I think yellow is bright. It's really, really bright. And the cool thing about that is that if you have like yellow on, it's actually a lot easier to see them in smokes, because a lot of the enemy smokes are like red. Like if Brimstone smokes something, you'll see it in red. You won't see it brown. They have like a red outline on them. So if you have like a red enemy outline, then they can blend into smokes and shit like that. So a lot of the times whenever they're in smokes, you can see them if you have like a yellow outline. And I think it's super cool. And that's why I have a red crosshair. Crosshair is very important because you have to be able to like aim correctly, and you have to be able to see what you're doing. I have this small space in my crosshair just so I can be able to see like heads. If my crosshair was super close and I was holding a really tight angle, I feel like I would miss if somebody walked by. So with this small little hole there, I feel like I can see people if they do happen to walk by it and I'm holding a very tight angle. Now it's very situational, and of course everyone has their different crosshairs. But this is mine if you do want to copy it. It's very simple. It's not a very complex crosshair, but yeah, it's pretty much what it is. I do rock the dot sometimes also. I love the dot, but I feel like the dot's a little bit harder to see, and your aim kind of has to be on point because it's just a little dot. You know, it's like a tiny fucking dot, and it can be hard to deal with sometimes if your aim's not really on point. You feel like you miss a lot of shots. But also you want to make sure that, okay, so crosshairs have a big mental thing with them, at least for me. Since my crosshair's kind of big, I feel like my target's kind of big. I feel like I have a bigger chance of hitting a headshot. And I know it's a mental thing, and it's not, has nothing to do with like logic or anything. It just feels better for me. And you might want to try out different crosshairs. You might want to see pros who have different crosshairs, and maybe you'll like them. Like, gotta experiment with shit. So yeah, guys, that's my aim guide. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave it in the comments. I can make another type of guide. I was actually thinking of making an Omen guide. So I don't know what y'all think about that. I've been loving Omen. I think Omen is probably my favorite op, or agent. Sorry, not op. Longer. I can teach here, right? But yeah, dude, let me know what y'all want. If y'all want me to have a certain type of video, certain type of op, let me know in the comments. Also, I'm gonna be uploading a lot more. I usually upload twice a week, but I have a hella clips Valorant, so I'm just gonna be just tossing them out there. I have a good ace coming up, a few aces, I think, like 2 or 3 aces saved up, so I'll probably upload those. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching. If you guys would spread the word on my channel, I'd appreciate it. I think that we're growing slowly but steadily. And also, I don't know what y'all think about me not playing Siege anymore. I probably will eventually head back to Siege, but I think right now Siege is just not at a good spot, and I just needed some time off. And Valorant, unlike Siege, is very rewarding, so my aim can carry me for the most part while I learn the game. On Siege, even if my aim's on point, it doesn't always carry me because I have to. It's a very team-based game, and so is Valorant, but your aim has a lot more impact on the game than most people are used to in most games. It's a very CSGO-esque game. So yeah, let me know what y'all think, and we'll see you all in the next one, guys. Take it easy. Peace out. And if you do want to check out the stream, I stream almost every night, so I will leave that in the comment on the description below.